Okay, we're going to look at some Pythagoras and surds together. Okay, so let's go for an example one. Example one, we've got this length here is 4 and this length is 6, and I'm going to call this length here x, and we're going to find the length of x, but without a calculator we're going to simplify the surd at the end. So remember that for Pythagoras the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. So that will be x squared equals 4 squared plus 6 squared. Okay, so 4 squared, that's 4 times 4, that's 16. 6 squared, that's 6 times 6, that's 36. Add them together and they'll get 52. I then take the square root of 52, and at that point I'm not going to reach for the calculator, but I'm going to think about my square numbers between 1 and 100 and even beyond. Okay, so let's have them in front of us. Okay, so what's the biggest number on the list that's a factor of 52? Oh, it's 4. Okay, now have a wee think about this as to how many times does 4 fit into 52. Take your time and think about it, and it's 13. Because 13 times 4 is definitely 52. 4 3s are 12, 2 down carry 1, 4 1s are 4 plus 5 is 52. And we follow the routine from today. Square root of 4 times the square root of 13. Square root of 4 is 2, so that's 2 times root 13. The final answer to root 13. Let's try example 2. Okay, example 2. That side is 5 and that side is also 5. I'm going to call that x. So the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. Okay, x squared equals 5 squared plus 5 squared. X squared equals 5 squared is 25 plus 25. And then x squared is equal to 50. Okay, so then x is going to be equal to the square root of 50. Let's go to my list. What's the biggest number on the list? It's a factor of 50, and it's definitely 25. Okay, so that's 25 times 2. X equals the square root of 25 times square root of 2. Square root of 25 is 5. So that's x equals 5 times root 2. And let's just shorten that down. Final answer, 5 root 2. Okay, let's try an example 3. Okay, example 3 then. Let's go for this one. Look at 2 and 4. There's the right angle. I'm going to call it G this time. Okay, that's the hypotenuse. So the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. Okay, so g squared equals 4 plus 16. G squared equals 20. G is going to be equal to the square root of 20. Okay, so from the list, what's the biggest number that's a factor of 20? And that'll be 4. So it's going to be the square root of 4 times 5. That's root 4 times root 5. Root 4 is 2. That's 2 times root 5. Final answer then, shorten the right down to root 5. Let's try an example 4. Okay, so for example 4, we've got 5, 10, and I'm going to call this side T. You'll see this time that the question actually gives me the hypotenuse. Okay, so it's actually looking for one of the shorter sides. Now we should remember for that, as if it's one of the shorter sides, then you subtract. So it's t squared equals 10 squared minus 5 squared. Now why is that? It's because I'm not looking for the hypotenuse. So I've been given the hypotenuse, that's the longest side. T is one of the shorter sides. That tells you to subtract. Okay, so that's going to be t squared equals 10 squared is 100, n5 squared is 25. So t squared is equal to 100, take away 25, that's 75. T then is equal to the square root of 75. Now from the list, which number is the biggest factor of 75? We'll consult your list there. And it's 25, so that's the square root of 25 times 3. That's root 25 times root 3. Root 25 is 5, so that's 5 times root 3. Shorten the right down, then final answer is 5 root 3. Okay, example 5. Example 5, I've got 10, 12 and Q. Okay, so you can see that I've been given the hypotenuse, so I'm looking for one of the shorter sides, so it must be subtract again. Q squared equals 12 squared minus 10 squared. 12 squared, 12 times 12, that's 144, minus 10 squared is 100. So that's now Q squared is equal to 44. Let's just go over that list again. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144. Okay, which number on the list is the biggest factor of 44? It's 4. So Q is going to be equal to the square root of 44. 4 times 11. So it's root 4 times root 11. Let's come up here. That's 2 times root 11. And shorten the right down to root 11. Okay, one more example. Let's go for this one. That's 4. That's P, and that's 8. Okay, so again, you can see that I've been given the hypotenuse, the longest side, so it must be one of the shorter sides I'm finding, so it's going to subtract. P squared equals 8 squared minus 4 squared. 8 squared, 8 times 8, that's 64. 4 times 4 is 16. 64 take away 16, that's 48. P equals the square root of 48. Look at the numbers on the list. What's the number that's the biggest factor of 48? It's definitely not 4, it's 16. 16 times 3. Root 16 times root 3. 4 times root 3, shorten the right down, final answer 4 root 3. Okay, so you're going to try these ones. So, example 1, you've been given the two shorter sides, you're looking for the longer side, the hypotenuse, so you're going to add with that ones. And for the second one, you've been given the longest side, so that's one of the shorter sides, so you need to subtract with that one. Okay, so example 1 is like the first 3 examples, example 2 is like the next 3 examples. Remember also to do the N5 homework 3, and we'll pick both of them up tomorrow.